Dr. Wolfe, talk about your family, the history of your family, and how that's impacted you as well.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about three people, being my grandfather and my mother and father. I'll make it short and sweet. My grandfather ended up getting rectal cancer. Okay, and he was a beer drinker. But if if you drink 3 beers a day, the best way to get rectal cancer is 3 beers a day. All right. If you do not detox, remember something. In the medical system, there's two things they never talk about because they're not allowed to talk about, and that is diet and that is detox. Meanwhile, if you talked about diet and you talked about detox, you wouldn't need the medical system, except for emergencies and things of that nature. All right, we all have a place to play, but when we get greedy and we try to own everything, that's when corruption comes in. So anyways, my grandfather got colon cancer. He came with us to stay with us, and then he went into the hospital. What happened was he got impacted. So he was in pain. Well, and they couldn't do anything for him. We brought him home. We broke the impaction, which was in his bowels. Okay, we got him on a proper juicing and cleansing diet. This is when I was younger, like I was a teenager, that we did this. And we got rid of his pain, but we didn't get rid of his cancer. It was way too late. Then there was my father. My father lived in Nova Scotia. I was living in Toronto. I was in business. Had a clinic for only about 4 years now. So anyways, he gets leukemia. I get a call from my brother. My brother says, Dad's in the hospital. He's got leukemia. I said, why didn't he call me? Well, of course he's not going to call you, Darrell. You're just going to get mad at him. And I said, he's got leukemia, Marcel. And he said, yeah, but they only give him 2 weeks to live. I said, Marcel, you listen to this. I know one thing, and that's one thing for sure. Nobody is allowed to play God. Next thing is, okay, nobody's allowed to give an expiry date. And the only reason why they can give an expiry date, okay, all right, is because they go by rules. Those rules are, we're not going to teach you about diet. We're not going to teach you about detoxification. We're going to give you some drugs, and we're going to send you home and let you continue to do what caused the cancer, and we're not going to do anything else. And then we're going to attack you with the big three cancer treatments, right? So anyways, I said, Marcel, you go into that hospital and you get a wheelchair and you get him out of there. Darrell, they said that they're not going to let him go. He's got 2 weeks to live. I said, listen to me. He's only got 2 weeks to live. If you have to take a baseball bat in there, you do it, but you get him out. So he got him out. He put him on a plane. When he landed in Toronto, okay, he had cold sores all over his lips. His eyes were yellow. His skin was yellow. And he was like just drooping down. My heart just broke. And I just went, okay, so we took him home. I'll make a long story short. He's got 2 weeks to live, right? 2 weeks later, I won't tell you what we did, but 2 weeks later, my father had his suitcases packed to go visit his cousin. Okay? And they couldn't find the leukemia 6 weeks later in his system. We don't have time for that right now, but this story can be verified. Next thing is my mother calls me 12 months after this. Okay, she calls me up. She can't talk. Her boyfriend says to me, listen, your mother's in trouble. They want to cut her tongue out, and they want to cut a piece off her butt and make that a tongue for her because she's got mouth cancer. I said, she's got to come see me. So she lived in Kitchener, so she came to Toronto. So she can't even speak. She speaks like this. She couldn't even talk. Well, anyways, I put her, we did fasting, we did some cleansing, we did a bunch of things, right? In 8 days, my mother, she could talk and you could hear her. You could understand her talking. So right away we know we're doing okay. So then I have to go to Salt Lake City to do an international conference. So I leave to go to Salt Lake City. I come back. My mother takes off back home, back to her McDonald's cigarettes and her alcohol. 9 months of super pain, and then she passes on. So everything is a choice here, okay? And all I want to make sure is that we are giving people that choice.
So Dr. Wolfe, you have written a pamphlet that I think has been turned into a little booklet. It's called Spoiled Rotten. And that has to do with what you've been talking about, people that are walking around that look like they may be pregnant, but they're really not. Can you talk about spoiled rotten?
Well, Ty, spoiled rotten. Well, you know what that means? What does spoiled rotten mean, Ty?
Well, I mean, typically we hear spoiled rotten and you think of a child that you have spoiled rotten. But in this case, it means something different, doesn't it?
It means that you do no longer take ownership for your decision making.
Mm.
It means that you no longer take ownership for your decision making or for the responsibility of the body that you've been given. Think about this one. We have been given a body and a chance to come down here and experience a life here, okay? We have everything we need. We even have more than everything we need. But meanwhile, everybody is in pain. Now, why are they in pain? Because they're spoiled rotten, okay? Because they have a conscious level. Most people have, and I'm not trying to down people, okay, and I mean that. But most people have a conscious level, Ty, of 4 inches. That's from their mouth to the back of their throat. And then they have 30 feet of hell, okay? And we have been brainwashed to only have 4 inches of pleasure and give up 30 feet. Now, why are we spoiled rotten? Well, I don't know, Ty. How many people can go to the washroom and they don't leave a stink in the washroom? How many people do not wake up with bad breath? Bad breath is not something you ate yesterday. Bad breath is caused because you have foodstuffs that have been rotting in you, not for days, not for weeks, but for years. Mm. You know what, Ty? A person will change the vacuum cleaner bag out when it's full because they don't want to burn out the engine. The average guy will make sure that he has his oil change and tune-up on his car. You won't allow the garbage to sit under the sink for more than a day because it might stink up your house. But you know what? You have the conscious level of thought that you will allow yourself to use toxic chemicals under your arms. You will use breath mints and brush your teeth many times to hide the putrefaction that's happening in your stomach. You'll use spray and deodorant throughout your house and mainly in your bathroom to hide the rot that's inside of you. You give me one symptom, Ty, from your top of your head to your toe, and I will tell you that if you got into gentle daily cleansing of your detoxification system, which is your large intestine, which is the mother of all organs, it is the mother of all organs. It is more important than any other organ in the human body. Because how could your blood be dirty, your liver be overtaxed? How could your kidneys be in trouble? How could you have skin conditions? How could you have mucus coming out your eyes? Okay? How could any of this happen unless you are reabsorbing your own toxic waste? Allowing your large intestine, which is the sewer system of your body, to become a cesspool. What does a cesspool breed, Ty? A cesspool breeds parasites, viruses, bacteria, fungus. Mm. That is a parasite party. And then what are you going to do? Listen to me. They don't tell you to detoxify because they know that detoxification is the greatest weapon against the medical system. Mm. If you don't detoxify, then that means that you're going to have inflammation. If you have inflammation, you're going to have pain. Eventually, that pain is going to bring your immune system down, just like draining a battery, and you don't know why. When that battery gets drained, then anything. We take in viruses, bacteria every day, but they don't harm us because we're strong. But they allow you to drain your energy out because you're a sugar carbo junkie. And you eat dead foods, and guess what? Dead foods don't vibrate. They don't have energy. So it sucks the living force out of you. Mm. They're winning again. Then when that happens, Ty, you're in so much bloody pain that now this infection comes in, a bad bacteria has a feast on you, and now what? You've got some kind of illness. You go to the doctor. Well, he's just going to write you a script for an antibiotic. 250 million scripts are written every year for antibiotics. Now, that's in the United States. You need to take one course of antibiotics to totally create a life of hell if you don't know how to detoxify. Because what happens is when you take those antibiotics to kill off that invader, what happens then? What that does is it takes the good bacteria, which are the main part of, did you know that the main part of your immune system lives in your large intestine, and that's your good bacteria. Mm. They do more than you'll ever dream of. Now, those good bacteria, what happens when antibiotics come in? They don't all get killed off. Because remember something, antibiotics go in and they obliterate. So when they go in, they take that good bacteria and they change it over to a bad bacteria. That bad bacteria now, guess what? You just finished yourself. Because remember something, 85% of all pain is where? Oh my God, right here? Well, wouldn't that make us wake up? Oh, let me see, I'm in pain here all the time. What's happening? And then that creates pain through the other parts of the body. So now, those bad bacteria, what do they crave, Ty? And tell me, the medical system knows this.
Sugar, carbohydrates?
That's right, sugar and carbohydrates. So, you know, look at people how they drink wine now, every night. That's good marketing, but they crave that. They crave alcohol. They crave chips. They crave pop, anything with sugar in it. And then that sugar goes in, and guess what it does? It feeds those bad bacteria, and they give off what's called endotoxin. That endotoxin goes into your body and creates more inflammation. That inflammation then creates acidosis, which is the root cause of all disease, because now you're messing with your pH. That acidosis creates crystallization. Listen to me. The older you get, you're like a wood, you're like board, you're stiff. Oh, my achy joints. Well, that's all crystallization. And what happens when you have pain in the body? The body goes into helping you. It goes into a mode of helping. What does it do? It sends fibrin, which is like scar tissue, to an area. So if you're always in inflammation, you're going to have tons of scar tissue. If you have tons of scar tissue, you're blocking your circulation. If you're blocking your circulation, you're creating mutation. Let me tell you something. Antibiotics, they're pushed more than anything else. And antibiotics are what are going to bring people down and create a life of hell. If they don't start detoxifying,